Hi, I'm Anthony from AntLab Games, and welcome to another weekly roundup where we're going to be talking about retail games, games that are available, games we've been playing, games that excite us. We have our wonderful panel here. I'm joined by my lovely wife, Francis.
Hello.
And we are joined by some new folks, some new faces, starting with Branden.
Yeah, I'm Branden with All Aboard Gamer. My better half, Lexi's not here tonight. But yeah, we have a YouTube channel, Instagram, Facebook. We do, board game content. We love talking about board games, especially me. I can't shut up about them. So that's who we are.
All right, Branden. I also have Allie.
Hi, everybody. I'm Allie. I am primarily on Instagram. I also have a YouTube channel that's just getting started. I do a lot of just photograph content and unboxings and starting to get into some top 10s and mini reviews.
Awesome. And as you all remember, Carlos, and now we have his other half, Mr. Rob.
My better half.
His better half.
We are the Beans and Dice Podcast, a podcast about how we game. I'm Carlos. I'm Rob.
All right, guys, and we just have Mr. Juan from QVO Games.
Hi, everyone. Juan from QVO Games. Yeah, so we are on Instagram, YouTube, all the social media channels, but we're also, I think, primarily showcasing board games weekly on Mondays, specifically at 8 a.m. for a just pre-recorded video. Go over all the games coming out for retail that week, as well as some short-form meme content, I guess I call it. I call it meme content just because it's just funny board game shorts, basically, and skits on TikTok and Instagram Reels.
Do your parents call it meme? Like my mom does? Meme?
I think they still call it. They still don't even know what to call it at this point. They're like, what you do at home? What do you do? That's what they.
That thing.
Thank you too. Well, thanks for joining us, Juan. Juan's become our source for retail games that are coming out. So really great work he's been doing. So we're going to jump in. We have a good handful of games we want to talk about this week. Some stuff that everybody's been playing, some stuff that people have just gotten to their table or just actually picked up at the store. We have a few titles that we've played recently as well that we'll talk about. But one game that interests me, I'll selfishly pick on Branden, because one of the games he said he was going to talk about was Endless Winter. Right, Branden, is that yours?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
So if you want to talk about that one, I don't know anything about this game, and I purposely not looked into it because I want to see if you could sell me on this one.
Well, I probably should be able to sell you on it. Look at that artwork from the Micho. Look at that.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. Oh, man. I love this game. This is rocketing up my list. It's probably going to be very high in my top 10 of 2022 already. It is published by Fantasia Games, and believe it or not, this is their freshman effort. It's unbelievable the way they ran their campaign. Just unbelievable how they did it as a first effort, and we've been waiting a long time. It was way overdue, of course. Like, it was way late. Of course, it was I think close to a year late, but it was well worth it. The art is from the Micho. We've actually interviewed him on our channel. He is a fun guy. I had a blast interviewing him. And he actually doesn't play board games, which is so amazing to me that he does such a good job. And people are already saying, and I 100% agree, that his artwork, I know his artwork has a style and a flavor, but as we've seen with Vincent Dutrait, personally with Ian O'Toole and all these great artists, their art does improve over time. You can see the shift in their artwork. I think this is the Micho's best artwork to date for a board game. I really do. And that's saying something, because we do a lot of stuff with Garphil, and he is like their exclusive artist for most of their stuff. Like, their Antiquity series is not. But anyway, this is amazing from Micho. But the designer is none other than Stan Kordonsky. And Stan Kordonsky has actually designed a lot of games that are very different from one another. It seems like, when you think of Stefan Feld, you think of a certain kind of game. When you hear the name Reiner Knizia, you think of a certain kind of game. And Uwe Rosenberg, you think of tiles. I mean, every time I hear Uwe, I think of farming and tiles. Stan has actually done games that you may miss if you're not paying attention, because they follow so many different kinds of genres. You have Lockup Breakout, which is part of the Thunderworks cartographers, that whole world that they do, which is a great game. He's done Old West Impresario, which is a game sort of like Pioneer Days, but a little bit different. Rurik Dawn of Kiev, which is an area control game. And he just released Resurgence, which is already Gary, who's not present tonight, Gary received his. Now we have it on the way. We haven't received ours yet, but Resurgence, I mean, he's already saying it's an 8.5 for him already.
Yeah.
Stan just knows how to do it, and I think it's no different. So when I saw Stan's name was on this one, it was an insta-back for us. And but here's the thing: it is a Euro game, and there's a lot of mechanisms going on, sort of working in synergy together. I'm not going to do a full review on it just because I have to do that for my own channel after some more plays.
Well, give me the elevator pitch.
It is a hybrid deck builder worker placement game. And it's instantly being compared to two others that are very famous, very popular.
Oh, yeah. What are you talking about? I have no idea these games you speak of.
Dune Imperium and Lost Ruins of Arnak, of course. I'm going to say, and I will say this in my review.
It has a 50% chance of being really good or really bad.
I will say that as a base game, without the expansion content, as a base game, it is far superior for me than Lost Ruins of Arnak was out of the gate, and way more than Dune Imperium. Dune Imperium still has some broken parts that are being fixed. There's another expansion on the way. Rise of Ix fixed a lot of things.
Which ones work?
What's that?
Which ones work? Which parts? You said it a few broken parts. I'm still trying to find the ones that work.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Tell me how you really feel, man. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm on board. Yeah.
Just hijacking what I'm... No, I'm kidding. But this game, at its core, is a deck-building game, and it's a very, very solid design. Not to bring up the Dice Tower, but they just reviewed it, and they gave it a seal of excellence, and I 100% agree with it. It is that good, and what I love about it is it's not Lost Ruins of Arnak, and it's not Dune Imperium, even though they share mechanisms. They are not the same game by a long shot. And it's just one of those things where there's always something to do, but it doesn't feel so open that your choices don't matter. I think your choices absolutely matter. How you put your megaliths on the one board and make the stacking and scoring points, it's very tactical. You have to know when to strike in that sense. When you're looking at the area influence, the area majority portion with the camps and the villages, you have to realize that if you let your opponents run away with that, they're going to be getting bonuses every eclipse phase. And the game has a great solo mode. Stan didn't design the solo mode. I think it's I want to say Victor or Drake Virilia. I forget his name. I apologize. I don't want to take up too much time. But the solo mode is actually really good. You go against an opponent called the Nomad, and it feels intelligent. It's run by a deck of cards that are randomized, and you only use 3 every round. So it always feels fresh of what the Nomad is going to do, and you have to sort of react to it in a strategic way. And I played this actually with Allie. I don't think Allie has the same love for it that I do, but I played it on Tabletop Simulator, and even on Tabletop Simulator, which I'm not I don't prefer to play games that way. It takes way longer and things like that, but it was fun. I just was instantly hooked. Instantly hooked. So that one was like, that kind of gave me relief when I played it on TTS. Like, okay, we have this big thing we've been waiting for. Is it going to disappoint us? For me, the answer was no, it did not disappoint. It's a very, very good game. And Johnny Pack did the development on it, and we like Johnny Pack's designs too.
Yeah, we do as well.
Coloma,
he works
like
with
that.
Micho a lot too.
He does.
Allie, what was your thought playing it on Tabletop Simulator?
Well, Tabletop Simulator is challenging in and of itself. It was my first game on Tabletop Simulator at all. So it started out with trying to figure out how to download and install and get everything up and running and use the program. And then it's a fairly in-depth teach. So it was a lengthy teach, but I enjoyed it. Like Branden said, I don't know that I liked it as much as he did right out of the gate. It is one that I would like to play again with an actual physical copy of it. I think that the production and just being, in the room with the actual pieces would be much better than on Tabletop Simulator. But it's not one that I backed. It was one that I was tempted by when it was on Kickstarter, but the price point was just pretty high for adding to my collection at the time. But yeah, it's one that I would play again for sure.
It is hard to separate the emotions while learning Tabletop Simulator from that first game. As someone who has taught many Tabletop Simulator games, I found that first game I teach someone it does give them a negative feeling on the game because of the
complexity
of tabletop simulator.
Yeah.
Like I didn't like that game because it was hard moving the pieces around. No, that's because tabletop simulator sucks. not the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you trying to do in this game? I missed kind of like
so you're trying to build your civilization, basically. You're Paleo-Americans, and you're building your civilization by settling the area. That's what the territory board represents. The megalith board is kind of putting up like your Stonehenge, making your mark. You're building up your tribe, and that's where the deck building comes in, and that's where the design feels the tightest. This isn't like you get a choice of these cards and then they go away at the end of the round. You get 5 stacks of cards that are duplicates. There's 15 of each of those cards, so 75 cards, and all of them are good, and you have to decide which one you're going to pick when you get those tribal cards to put in your deck. There's a ceremonial burial ground card where you're actually they're dying, your tribal folks, and you bury them, and you can get points for that at the end of the game. Because you're there's you're hunting animals, which feels very thematic in that way. And here's the thing: the animals are a very simple set collection thing. However, you also have a choice, and there's where the tension comes in. You can, I want to say tap, but I know that's kind of Magic the Gathering.
Exhaust
the card. It no longer counts toward your set, but there's a massive bonus of usually food or tools or something like that you get from the animal. So the animals can be a set, and you're scoring endgame points, or you can kill them, hunt them, and get their immediate bonus if you're running short.
I like those tight decisions.
It's very tight, and that's what's and Tom even said that in the review. That's one thing that really I latched onto. He said the reason I know the design is tight is because when I go to pick one of those tribal cards to put in my deck, I never know which one to pick because they're all so good. Yeah, so that's what you're doing. You're building your civilization. I'm sorry, I should have led with that.
I would say that the game does require some level of diversification. Several people have tried to go real hard on one route or a different route, and they found that just doesn't work. You've got to do. You don't have to do everything, but you've got to do something real well. But then you've got to do a couple of other things. So
yeah. For example, I don't typically lean into the sacred stones. The sacred stones for me are very situational. In other words, if that sacred stone is going to really get me, if that's my strategy, they're like objectives essentially. And so, but they're random when they come out. So a lot of the times it's like, oh, if it fits, then maybe I'll go for a sacred stone and grab it. But that's typically something I haven't leaned into. So there are things I totally agree with that. You don't have to lean into everything, but you have to diversify, which makes it so much more fun and thematic for me. As a big Euro, it's fairly thematic, I think.
Sounds cool.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm interested. I'm definitely interested.
And they have the cute minis. There's my mammoth.
Oh, that's cool.
Ooh, nice.
Came painted?
No, I painted it.
Oh, you painted it. Oh, nice.
I did. Yeah, I paint minis. I love doing that when I get the time.
We do too.
Yeah.
That's
We'll send you some.
The time.
We'll send you some.
Just as a side thing. Yeah.
Bring them on in.
Awesome. Sweet. Thanks for bringing us through that one. That one's really piqued my interest. So before we jump into the next game discussion, Juan, would you mind kind of giving everybody sort of a quick rundown of this week's retail releases?
Sure, certainly. Yeah, let's get. So there's actually a couple of there's a lot of games actually. So I'm gonna try to get this list going quickly. There is a lot of games. Luckily enough, there is a lot of games. It's always good. So starting off with just this week alone is going to be about 10 games, no expansions this week. So October 26th, we have Galileo Project by Sorry We Are French. Galileo Project is a space-style game. It's going to be space in space with two different factions, Earth and Mars, and your whole goal essentially is to just build satellites in Saturn to try to expand your renown in the universe, essentially. That's all it really is. It looks actually pretty complex. It's a good one. Also, we have a new card coming out by the creators of Magic the Gathering and the Ascension. Ascension is going to be Soulforge Fusion, October 27th. Game looks interesting. Grab 2 decks, match them together, have at it against your any opponent at that point. So Terra Nova is going to be the next one. It's going to be by Capstone. So Terra Nova, it's basically a simpler or lighter version of Terra Mystica, which I think is actually great accessibility right at that point. We have so much of that. I mean, Horizons is I think it's called Horizons. The one that came out with Targets or Spirit Islands, it's like a lighter version of it.
Right.
So I think that actually adds a little more accessibility to games now, right? If there's like, oh, I want to try this game, but I don't like high complexity games. Now we got some lighter versions of these games that kind of promote that a little bit more. So that's what I like about Terra Nova a bit. I think Renegade Games pushes this one a lot, but October 26th is going to be Vampire the Masquerade. They have a new collector's box coming out where you can store your stuff in it. That's more like adjacent to board games, but a good collector's box is always necessary in my opinion. Easier, more accessible to bring the game out to the table. I love that. So October 26th, Vampire the Masquerade collector's box. October 28th, this is a big one with a price tag of $400. Catan is bringing out their 3D expansions. Oh, there is a couple of expansions actually. Catan 1. So 3D's the Seafarers expansion. So now you have a more, I guess it's $400 a lot for I feel for like even an expansion for Catan, but it brings more table presence, I would say. So now you have like little 3D expansions for your Catan set. So that's coming out October 28th.
Crazy.
Better be a lot of table presents for $400.
Oh,
It gotta
Show
come
up
with
and
a
set that
table.
up for me.
But there's some people who I'm sure that's the majority of what they play.
Yeah, that's
right.
true.
Like if you're playing that, if that's your go-to game on game night,
Well,
then
and like you look at we were looking at like Lego sets, like some of these Lego sets that are coming out
Yeah,
and stuff
fall,
too.
same thing.
You're paying $800 for a really big Lego set. So yeah,
sure,
it's the
no,
same.
it makes sense.
All fair. Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're a fan of Catan, it's definitely one to pick up, honestly. But $400 is up there. That's 7 games, I think, at that point.
Right.
However,
Yeah.
So Smash Up 10th Anniversary by AEG. So that's coming out October 28th. 10th Anniversary, big box with, I believe they have 11 new Titans and some new modules to play in. Smash Up is, I don't know if you played Smash Up, if you haven't played Smash Up, but pretty simple game. 3 bases, play cards, control, higher point value wins.
Kind of like what you said before, smash 2 decks together and go.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that mechanic's pretty common. I think Magic even has something similar to that as well, where you just grab 2 decks, put them together and play. I think Keyforge was kind of similar that way as well.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
so
Exactly.
I guess they're just kind of playing on to that. I hope they do well because trading card games in Las Vegas specifically, we do not have no community for that. If it's Pokemon or Magic, and that's it. So,
Oh wow,
wishing them the best, definitely. F Jords was on Kickstarter before by Grail Games, and now it's coming to retail. F Jords is pretty straightforward. I love, I have to talk about this, but the box art on F Jords looks really nice. I love that waterfall coming down into like a big open body of water. There's also going to be
Fjords.
Fjords.
Is that what it is? Fjords?
Yeah,
Fjords.
that's why I keep a
F-J-O-R-D-S.
Caucasian in my house.
Yeah. Straighten them out, yeah.
Is that exactly how you
English
say
is
that?
not my first language.
Yeah, Fjord. Fjord is it's
Fjords,
like a,
yeah.
It's like
Rob looked at
Nordic-
me like,
Nordic-
Carlos, it sounds like how you would say it.
It's not the same
Makes
wavelength.
two of us.
a Nordic word. Yeah.
Fjords. So I'm glad you corrected me, man. I'm really happy about that. I've been saying it wrong for the last year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, está bien, sigue.
Well,
Keep going.
Juan, think of your name. How is the J pronounced? Like a Y. Juan.
You're right.
So
Or-
Fjords.
or
It's
with the
Fjords,
accent,
yeah.
it would be
Yep.
Juan, I guess. Juan.
Oh, okay.
With the accent, but without it, yes, definitely Juan.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
Fjord.
Fjords.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
Norwegian. Yeah.
Tile placement, area control. That's what it is. You're going to be placing tiles. Also, the tiles look really nice as well. They're very nature and have really great art on it. So
Looks
you
pretty.
place
Yeah, it's
tiles,
pretty.
and then your goal now is to kind of take over those tiles by expanding your nature to them. So straightforward. This was an interesting one. It's by Dragon Dawn Productions, coming out October 28th as well. White Hat. It's a trick-taking game. So, but the interesting part is, I think trick-taking is now a mechanic that's overdone, overused. But you basically play down your cards.
Sir,
When you pick-
watch your mouth.
Hey, it's definitely it's losing it. I think they're overdoing it now with so many ones. You play your cards down, and your goal is to either move up on a track to improve your white hat, or have hackers enjoy your white hat, or give it more fame or value. So you play a trick, you win the trick, you go up, but you have to be careful because if you lose the trick, you might be forced to. They can force a action on you, and sometimes you don't want to go up, and sometimes you don't want to go back down because that's actually a negative onto your gameplay there, which is up or minus points essentially.
Okay.
Really popular one. This is one that I feel I enjoy, but I think a lot of people overhype it. My opinion, and I think you guys might be upset. Azul Master Chocolatier. So imagine Azul, but now with a chocolate reskin.
It's like, let's put another
Okay.
skin on this.
All
It's
right.
all the same. It's not like the other Azuls. It's not like the most recent one. I forgot what it's called. The one that's
Endless
recent
Endless Summer.
It's the green
I don't
one.
know.
Queen's Garden.
Queen's
Queen's
Garden.
Garden. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that one actually adds a couple things and changes things. This Azul Chocolatier is just
A literal reskinning of the game.
Just a new skin.
Yeah.
They're taking a page from Uwe, which Rob taught me how to pronounce,
chocolate.
with patchwork. Just going to do patchwork in all different flavors. We're going to do Azul in all different flavors.
Yeah.
I need a Rob
Yep.
in my life because I think I mispronounce a lot of these games.
Yeah.
I definitely get a Rob somewhere.
Yeah, we'll find one.
You'll find one.
We can't share Rob.
Can I ask this guy? Yeah.
This is one I'm really excited about. Evergreen by Horrible Guild. Horrible Guild, a lot of great games. I think Railroad is one of the ones I really enjoy. It's a roll and write. So Evergreen is going to be I'm going to talk about this game later, so I'll just give you the quick notes before I go into it.
Oh, yeah. Don't. Unless you want to. If this is your last game, you could go into it now if you want. But if you have more on the list, then just.
I have
You
two
say.
more still. So
Okay.
Evergreen's
Yeah.
gonna
So
Go
go
ahead.
back to
Yeah.
Horrible. Go back to that one. And
Evergreen.
we'll do a whole. Yeah, we'll do Evergreen in a bit. We'll do that whole segment for you.
Okay, perfect. Carcassonne Big Box 2022. So it is a big box for Carcassonne coming out this week as well, October 28th. And it's basically they had one in 2017, right? The Carcassonne Big Box. But now there's a new one with the updated versions of all the expansions. So it's Carcassonne. They specifically say Carcassonne Big Box 2022. Z-Man Games, I believe, is going to be distributing it. So it's Carcassonne with all the expansions and a newer box. That's all it is. Quacks & Co. This is another thing about accessibility, right? But I feel like the game's already easy. Quacks & Co. is going to be a lighter version of Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Oh, good.
And
Got my interest.
yeah, so so Quacks of Quedlinburg is now getting a lighter version called Quacks & Co. It's more kid-friendly and easier to play.
Yeah. It's more of a kid's game.
Yep.
Okay.
But I just think Quacks of Quedlinburg is already a pretty easy.
That's what I was about to say. I didn't think that was a very complex
Yeah.
game.
We
yeah.
say that as gamers, though. I'm
Yeah.
still haven't brought this one out for the kids and the family because I just feel like there's
Yeah,
just a
I agree.
little.
I wouldn't say it's a kids game. It's the original Quacks is not a kids level game.
Yeah.
But but if this new one is a kids targeted game, then that makes sense.
Yeah. Quacks & Co. is more like Catan Jr. or
Okay.
My First Ticket to Ride.
I was gonna say, yeah, something like that.
It's
But not
definitely
something
family,
like we would
elementary
wanna
school
play.
kids.
Okay.
Okay,
Well,
so
mine
not
also-
something that we would just take out to play for a later game that night. No. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was on the list. A notable mention that may be coming out this week is Starship Captains by CGE. That I do mention that it may or may not come out because I've been in contact with them, but that's actually what I'm looking forward to. And Fun Facts, which is an icebreaker game. I think it'd be a lot of fun to play that with you all, right? You just kind of write down on a little white erase marker, dry erase board, and you write everyone's names and you pull questions and you guess who would want to be a millionaire. So you rank it 1 to 8, however many players.
Oh, cool.
So little icebreaker game. I thought that was a really neat one.
Oh,
I
we
like
should
those
do
games.
that. That would be a cool one if we could find a way to do that virtually.
Yeah.
For the
That'd be a
panel.
neat episode.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
the
yeah.
panel.
So and that's
Noted.
that's all of them.
Excellent.
Cool, Juan. You know your list, man. It's not just a bunch of names. You know. You
I need
actually
to have
know the-
Juan call into the call-in show.
Yeah.
Thursday nights. Right at the start of the show, Juan can call in and give us the
rundown
list.
for the week. You know?
That is like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
I mean, it is. It's not like I said. It's not just a list of random names. It's like here's the games, and this is what each of them is.
Well,
Like,
and I'll
that's-
tell you
that's-
guys, if you're
solid.
watching this at home and you have not watched Juan's channel, QVO Games, he does this every week, and he actually goes into a lot of detail. So you can go and watch his
Nice.
channel, and I'm plugging you, Juan, if you want to correct me. Every week he really dives into a lot of these titles with even more depth.
Yeah.
It certainly caught our attention.
Yeah, I'm
we
a
like to watch
sucker.
it to keep up to date.
I'm a sucker for coming to retail because it's
Yeah.
like that's stuff that I can buy next week. You know what I
Exactly,
mean? And I'm
right.
not putting a down payment on something for 2 years.
Yeah.
You know,
Agreed.
I'm more of a I need the game now because I've done Kickstarters, but it's like man, that wait is just it hurts my heart.
You lose interest in the game, right? After
Yeah.
you wait 3-4 years and these big games come in, you're just like, I don't want to play the game anymore. Like there's
Yeah,
7.
like I've outgrown this theme and this
Yeah.
mechanic now. I'm more into this now. So it's kind of
Yeah,
a risk, right?
Yeah, we were gonna back Oathsworn, and I backed out. It's like
Oh,
I don't want another boss battler, and that's the fact that they weren't showing gameplay was really concerning me. I reached out to them, and I hadn't really heard anything, and it's hard to find. Like people were talking about how great the narrative is, but it's like, is that a game that I'm going to be interested in another year or two down the road when it finally
Yeah.
does come out? It's like I don't think so. So I pulled out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's sad, but
interesting.
I don't mean to throw like, oh, it's one under the bus. I mean, it's obviously a highly
no.
rated game.
Well, yeah.
It's not hurting for my negativity. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. Yeah, and
But I'm just saying, like, it's one of those things where you have to really start making those calls. You know, it's
Yeah.
tough. And retail, you're right. Retail, it's like Juan, his list, boom, I can go look, boom, where can I get it, and it's
Yep.
done.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks a lot, Juan. That was great, man.
Yeah.
Let's jump to Allie. What do you want to talk about?
Oh my gosh. I only had 3, I think, this week.
Oh, that's
This was a
good.
this was a hard list for me to make because I find that I'm very much cult of the old, where I find things on Instagram or I see an old review of a game that looks interesting and then I go hunt that down. So the one that I've been playing the most lately that's not really a new release is Trails of Tucana, that is from the same design team as the Magnificent.
Oh,
interesting.
okay.
So it's
Hopefully
in
lighter
Aporta
key.
Games. Yeah, it's way lighter. It's a flip and write game, and it's
Okay.
one that Z
I'll let you
Garcia is always talking about. It's like on
Okay.
his top 100, and I love flip and write games like Welcome to, and so I was interested in this one and picked it up recently, and it's really fun. It's really simple. The solo is just a beat your own score, but it's so quick and easy to play that I don't really care. I just kind of see how well I can do. And
Okay.
this last week I taught it to my oldest daughter, Rory, who's 8, and she loved it. She's like, let's play a game. Can we play again? And I was like, well, we're at
Oh,
piano
wow.
lessons and we're going to be done in like 5 minutes. So no, we can't play it right now, but she wanted to play it again right away. But basically what you're doing is at the beginning of every game, you're going to draw, write different letters in the different campsites around your map. And then you're going to try to attempt to connect like Camp A to Camp A on the other side of the board. And then you're going to try to collect different like artifacts and creatures around the board as well. And so the more you collect and the earlier you collect them, you'll earn points for them every round. So if
Okay.
you collect things in the first round, you'll get points for it in the first round and the second round, or if you're playing on the large board, the first, second, and third round. So you can kind of compound what you're earning for your points. But basically every turn, you're just going to flip over 2 cards that show different types of land. And then you draw a line to connect 2 hexagons of those different land types. And that's it. And you can
Okay.
draw them anywhere you want to. But ideally, you're trying to make a big trail through the map to collect all of these different things. There's rewards for getting from like A to A quickest. So the first person who gets there gets a reward. If you're playing with higher player counts, you'd get rewards for the second player, I think, as well. But yeah,
That's
it's
cool.
really simple, really fun. If you like flip and write games, this is one to check out. It has been out for a while, and there is an expansion as well, which I think adds another map, like a different map. I don't have that one yet, but it's one that I'll probably pick up at some point. But yeah, that's what it looks like.
I like how Allie says it's been out for a while. Like 2019, it really wasn't that
I
long
was gonna
ago.
say,
Yeah,
gonna say the
it's been out
same
for a little
thing.
while.
yeah, Cult of the Old is now
I think-
2019.
2019
Yeah.
for
I
some
feel old.
reason. I know.
These young
It's
kids
like-
coming on here.
That was like pre-COVID, man.
Well,
It sounds like a
2019
lifetime
for some
ago.
reason was
Yeah.
like such a prime year for games. I feel like because every game I pull off
It
the
was.
shelf and I'm like, this was such a good game. I look at the publication date, 2019. Like
Yeah,
we
that was the
picked up
year of
so many
Wingspan.
good
So like there were
games.
so many good games that I'd never heard of this game, Allie. So
Yeah.
because there were so many good games in 2019, I'm sure this got moved
a
down.
lot of other good games that we didn't. Yeah, we
It's a
didn't
big
get
year. A big
Great call out.
to. Shame,
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
It looks like
Awesome.
Merchants. What's behind me? Merchant Guild of Merchant Explorers is kind of what it looks like.
A little bit, yeah.
I
Has
think
that
it's
kind of
fairly
It has that
similar.
same art, kind of art style. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I got to get this one played. I was at Stonemeyer Design Day this last weekend in St. Louis.
dropping
dropping
names.
things. And so the girl that was tending the bar there at Pieces Board Game Cafe in St. Louis is where he holds the design day at, and she was playing this like all day. Every time I'd walk by the bar, I'd see her. She was kind of over in the corner of the bar whenever she wasn't serving somebody, and she was playing this and playing. You know, I saw her
Just
reset
playing
it 2 or
solo?
3 times. Yep, just playing it solo over
Yep.
and over. So yeah, if
Oh, wow.
somebody
Oh,
who works
wow.
at the board game cafe is liking it that much, it's got to be good. So, but yeah, I've seen Z talk about it a lot, and so I keep seeing it. I'm like, that's one I need to try. So yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
cool.
like 10 minutes
Yeah.
Nice.
solo. I mean, it's just flip, flip, flip. And
Oh, cool.
39 games of our collection of about 200 are from 2019, which is a massive. Yeah, that's
Wow,
a
yeah.
massive
Yeah.
amount. Yeah.
And then the world collapsed.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that is true.
Yes.
That's that's probably the cause of the sharp decline in
A
quality. Right?
rift was opened. Too many good games.
Everything changed.
All the good ideas just fell into the void.
Yep. So what do we want to talk about next? So what do we have? Rob, did you have a game you want to talk about?
Well, I was I'm gonna play Vanna mostly for Carlos. So I'm gonna kind of throw it to him. He pulled out some games out of his collection he wanted to talk about. So
Yeah, you got to get yourself a Rob.
yeah,
Juan.
yeah.
It's
There
awesome.
we go. Vanna
do.
over here. So yeah.
I think we all need a Rob in our lives. Apparently.
Which one you want to hit first, Carlos?
I had talked about Radlands. I put that up on the chart to
Radlands.
talk about Radlands from Roxley Games. I think this is a 2021 title, so it's a recent title. But the reason I'm bringing it up is because for me the Super Deluxe became available again. It was out of stock for a long time, so I guess I had a second publishing or another print run of it. But that's the Super Deluxe version that I'm looking at that's in stock. Birthday weekend, so wifey got a copy of it for me, so I get to get rid of my retail copy. But Radlands is just a two-player, head-to-head card game that gave me the feels of like the Magic the Gathering days from when I was younger. So and it's just one box set. Everything you need is in there. The components on the Super Deluxe are amazing because you get the player mats that come with the game, one for each player. You're going to get the plastic tokens for your water and or your exhausted tokens. And then the real reason I wanted this deluxe version, so you can spend $20 for the retail, or you can spend $60 plus shipping for the Super Deluxe. The Super Deluxe, the reason I did that is because of the cards. The cards in the Super Deluxe are all plastic. Now, Academy Games, who publishes Conflict of Heroes, has already done a game in plastic card. So that was my first game in plastic cards. The second game I got in plastic cards was Palm Island, which, just to say, Robert and I have played Palm Island in a hot tub together. So
Don't let that out.
That's an image I'll never get out of my brain.
Me
let that soak in there for a little bit.
Yeah.
No pun intended, right?
But these cards are all plastic. I mean, I do not have rules about food or drinks at my table, and we have ruined many a game playing and eating. But these cards are plastic; they can take it. All just wipe it down. You're clear and good to go.
Plastic cards? I've never you mean
We do.
when you say
Too many
what
bones.
game?
Too many
The
bones.
Radlands, the
one that we
Radlands
played-
prototype
we
that we
played
got when we
was plastic cards?
we
Okay.
previewed it
Because
was
I'm like,
plastic.
they're still flexible?
Yeah,
and all that kind of
they're
stuff.
just, but they're
Yeah.
like they're made of plastic. You can feel them. It's like
Okay.
Too many,
PVC or something.
too many bones is also the whole game.
It's
is
different,
plastic.
right? Theirs is a different one. Theirs is very slippery. These are more matte finish, where Too Many
Yeah,
Bones is
that's
real
right.
glossy. Like you put that stack on the table and they
Just
just
slides
fall.
off?
Yeah, they just
Slide,
fall
yeah.
down.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
It is. It's really bad.
But I'm a sleever, so having this game means I don't have to sleeve.
You don't have to sleeve. Yeah.
We can play it at the bar. We can play it at the beach. We can play it in the hot tub.
Well,
Yeah.
Anywhere we want, we can play this version of Radlands by Roxy
Right.
Games. So for
Which
me,
makes sense.
it's a new
Because it is
arrival
like-
and it's getting played.
I was gonna say it's a small box. It's a head-to-head. That's where you're gonna want to play it. Is like on the go, all over the place.
Yeah, it makes sense. And you
Yeah.
guys have the neeprene mats with it. Looks like
it looks
so.
like-
And neoprene, isn't that what they use like on scuba suits?
It is actually.
Yeah.
Right, so it should be fine. Like,
It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
so this can happen.
You
in
guys,
hot
when you're in the mood to make another Carlos and Rob soup,
there you go.
go for it.
we will report back.
Yes, I can't wait to hear how that turned out.
Juan just threw up in the back of his mouth.
Juan's like,
Get
I'm done.
into.
Bye.
Oh man, all right, cool.
That's my first one I wanted to bring up.
Cool.
Awesome. So
And
we'll
let's
bounce
pray
around.
that that's the last one.
Yeah. I'll jump in and throw one out there real quick.
Okay.
I'll have one of mine. So one game that I really wanted from the day, it was a Gen Con release. I talked about it a little while back. As soon as it came to the game store, it's one of the only games I actually had the guy at our game store, Carl. I had him call me to tell me it came in. 'Cause I never really ever do that. I never reserve games that just show up and whatever's there is there. But I had him hold Twilight Inscription for me. So I was just really, see, it's back here, yeah, super excited to play it. One, because I think I was open for a new roll and write, and I knew, or flip and write, and I knew that this one had had those special pens, like those chalk pens they call them,
They're
or chalk
like-
markers.
Yeah, they're like dry erase. But
Dry erase chalk markers,
they're
yeah.
chalky.
And all of the player boards are laminated, right, already. So you don't even have to worry about that. And it came with like 8 of those markers. So,
Yeah.
and I never played Twilight Imperium.
Yeah, they're, like,
And
super
I always
glossy.
hear that, and I think I have a lot of
Wow.
FOMO
Shiny they
from
are.
never playing that because
You're not listening.
really, is it that bad? If I,
Carlos loves it. I don't. So
Oh.
we're split on that one. Yeah.
when I get to Florida, Carlos, you're gonna have to break that out. We're gonna have to
My
find
man.
a- and I'll sit there for 6 hours to play that. That's cool.
You're gonna need some more
You're
time.
gonna be 8 or 10 usually with
That's
our group.
fine. You know what? I can do that.
Okay.
I need to get into a good space opera, but I like that. I like the 4X games. But I think doing it with a large group of people would be awesome. So this was sort of like my way of kind of getting a taste of it, maybe,
Maybe.
and not really having to commit with a big.
It just feels like such an oxymoron for me, and Allie might be on my side when it comes to flipping fills and rolling rights. Like a really heavy one just doesn't feel right.
This
Like, to
has
me,
four-
So Hadrian's Wall's no
Hadrian's
good
Wall?
for you guys?
I still haven't
He
even
hasn't
played
played
it.
it. He won't play it. I've played it a
Yeah.
To
couple
me,
times
it feels
now.
too
Yeah.
heavy.
It's not. It's just.
I'm Trails of Tucana here. Like I want 20,
Yeah,
15
nah,
minutes
no,
of flipping
I
and
tell
stuff.
you,
No.
I was a little concerned at first with Hadrian's Wall, and then I just went and bought it. I opened it up. I read the rules, and I was like, wow, this is pretty heavy, right?
So
but when
good.
you start playing it, it's not that heavy. It's heavy in the choices you have, right? That's the heaviest part of it because you have so many options on both
Yep.
on both sheets. So now multiply that by 4 because now you've got 4 sheets that you're playing with per game, right? Like you've got to manage 4 boards.
And they all do different things.
all do different things.
But like the bonuses that you get on one board affect your actions on another board.
Right. Similar to Hadrian's
This is
Wall,
weird.
right?
Right.
You
Yeah.
unlock one thing and then you got to go and mark it off on the other board and do all that stuff. And you're rolling these giant fat dice, which are awesome.
Oh, they look
every
chunky.
round. Yeah, they're
They
so
have
chunky.
glitter inside. So
Yeah, they
they're cool.
glitter, man. Like, come on. So the whole
So wait
the
a
whole
minute. You're
experience.
telling me? So you're telling me if you play this with 8 people, there's 32 boards on the table?
I don't think it plays up to 8. I know the original. It does play up to 8.
It
You're
has
right.
this
So
many
yes, 32
boards.
boards. So this is how many boards there are.
Wow.
So many boards.
Yeah.
Bring on the tables.
I'll be in
Bring
another
on the
room.
tables.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'll be playing over there.
I don't know if I do that because
I
it'd be
would
like
do that.
playing 8 solo games almost.
It'd be
you know what
called
I mean? Like,
Twilight tables.
You do
Yeah, because you
have left
well,
and right. Like the people on your left and right, you do
I was
interact
gonna
with.
say you do
somewhat.
have war.
You do
to your
you
left
war
and
them,
right,
and you really just
so-
have to have a higher like war value for that era, that round. When you do go, you don't know when war's coming, so when it does actually happen, you've got to be ready for it. But that's about as much interaction you have with each other. But for me, it was just a really cool theme. It plays pretty fast for what it is. It's long in rounds, but they go quickly. And
Oh my god, I see what you mean by the chalk markers.
Oh
Yeah, how cool is that?
See?
Come on,
BGG.
They
yeah.
look awesome.
dude.
Because
This is like
the boards are black, it's like space. So
Yeah.
that chalk marker really like stands
oh, that
out.
orange stands right out, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just, and it's easy. You don't have to press hard. You just do it. It just goes. It's so satisfying.
I see the game up over Juan's shoulder there. Have you played it, Juan?
I actually have played a couple times.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
really, it's actually a pretty good game, honestly.
Good eyes, Rob.
I know. If you have even better eyes,
See
you
it
can
up
see I
there?
have this counterpart right here.
Yeah, he's
Oh
Hadrian's
yeah,
Wall,
he's got them
that's
both
it,
right there.
Oh,
I have played-
I wasn't looking for it, but yeah.
I have played both actually, and I made a comparison between them, and they're both pretty good. I don't know. I like them both evenly. They all present something completely different, honestly. Because Inscription, there's a lot more. I feel like there's analysis paralysis is very strong, right? Your AP is really up there with that game because their options are so massive. But what I noticed that Hadrian's Wall just feels more fluid. Like your movements and your actions feel a little more like smoother. I do enjoy the fact that in Twilight Inscription, I don't know what it is that makes you feel so. It just makes you, it gives you like this really big. There's like a word I'm looking for here. It kind
Epic?
of feel like I guess you can say epic. It makes you feel epic when like you get that combo going with
Yes.
your tech tree on the bottom. Not the tech. I think it's tech, right? Bottom right's tech tree. The tech, the resource gathering, I guess.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
You combo it all together, and it just feels good when like you're getting you can do one resource here, circle it here to cross it out to come use it over here on this side of this board. I feel like that comes out a lot more, but this one feels smoother.
I get that completely, Juan. Like,
Mhm.
I think when we were playing, like, we would, even though it's like a solo kind of like, you do your thing, I do my thing, I would be like, hey, wait, watch this. And then, like, make him watch me
Witness
do my
me.
bookkeeping.
Witness me.
Yes.
He's like-
That's what it felt like. And it felt just like exactly that. Pick up, like,
Anthony
watch
gets me.
this.
Oh, I get you, man.
It's satisfying. Yeah, I do enjoy it. It was a fun experience, honestly. And you know, it's funny because roll and writes I played like little small beginner ones, I guess. I mean, what is it? Roar and Write by Panasaurus.
Yep. I fell asleep to that one.
Railroad 8.
You fell asleep to a lot of games, just as a side note. But yeah.
So
Brandon doesn't want to talk about
I hate that
Roar,
game
right?
because it didn't come with pencils.
It was a
There
whole
you go.
thing.
Yeah, that
It was
one-
like-
that one
Retail
hurt.
roll and
That
write
one
game
hurt.
did not come with pencils, and that to me is just such an oversight that is unnecessary. Pandasaurus,
Wow,
They-
it
they
triggered
lost
that
all
PTSD
credibility.
again.
All
He's gonna dial
credibility
that
with
customer
movie.
service number.
it's all me.
All
Why is
over
everybody
again.
bringing that up? Every show we've had is somebody saying roar and write. It's like, what is happening?
I don't know. I guess they really dropped it on that one, man. Never gonna live it down. So
Nope.
that was it. That was my pick.
That was your one.
Yeah,
Okay.
we bought it. It's pretty recent launch. If you're into this, I think it's great. It's one of my favorites. That and Hadrian's Wall. I think they're both my all-time favorite.
All right, Rob, we will get Hadrian's Wall to the table.
Let's play it. Let's do
Before November is done.
All right,
We'll
let's
have
do
it played.
Hadrian's Wall is fantastic.
It's great.
It. I love it. Yeah, it's good.
All right. So just looking at the list of games here. So Mosaic. Who's talking Mosaic?
Brandon.
Me.
All right,
Yep.
buddy.
This is going to be an interesting one, I think. Whereas I showed you a painted elephant from Endless Winter, Colossus, I have the Colossus edition, Colossus edition of Mosaic. It's literally so big, I have to put it on top of the calyx. It doesn't fit in the cubes.
Okay, I'm
Huge.
interested about this.
So it's the
yes.
literal elephant. I mean, not literal, but like figurative elephant in the room. It's so massive. I've only played this solo. And so this is where it gets a little bit weird. The solo mode in Endless Winter, and I don't mean to compare them, but solo modes, I'm not a solo player. So when I play solo, I played so few games solo that they stick out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I can compare them fairly easily. I really liked Endless Winter's solo mode. Mosaic's felt very on rails, if I could say it that way. It just felt that, and I'm not judging the game based on, and that's where the dichotomy is going to come in here. I actually love the game. What I was doing on my turn, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was so neat. Everybody gets one action, and this is a civilization game. You're moving around on the map. You're either laboring to get resources on your board, so it has that tech tree type of thing, and everybody has a variable player power, and you're building technologies, and you're building buildings and cities and putting different things out on the board. You're scoring for influence, so it's not area control, it's area majority for the most part. There are battles that can happen with your little military units, but mainly your military units count toward the influence of the region. And in a 2-player game or a 3-player game, the map shrinks, which means that they've done some balancing with it. 2 of the territories, Spain and the Norwegian countries, they're all locked off. So it like shrinks the map. So it makes it a lot tighter, a little bit better for less players, which I love. The production is out of this world. And so I love what I was doing on my turn. I just didn't really like the solo mode. So if you're going to buy this one for the solo mode, I don't know. I would just question that.
What was it about it? Was it just clunky to operate? Or?
No, actually it was the opposite. It was the kind of solo mode where you can do all this stuff and then it just gets stuff. It just...
so there was no AI.
There's no AI. There's no card pulling. There's no intelligence in it. Okay. I don't mean to... It's hard to nail down exactly what's wrong about certain solo modes. But when solo modes just sort of... That's what I mean, on rails. It's just like every time you play it, it's going to be the same thing. And so it almost comes off like you're just playing against yourself, which is weird.
I was thinking off the rails.
Wasn't a big fan of the solo mode. Yeah. I think they dropped the ball on that one. But that's the thing, though. Playing the game, playing the solo, I didn't like the solo mode, but playing that made me like, wow, this is really... And the turns are snappy. You get one action on your turn. That's it.
Cool.
That's good.
And so you're zooming around, and it plays up to 6 players, and I would not hesitate playing this at 6 at all.
Oh, cool.
It was my own turn in the solo mode. There's no AP. It's like I knew what I was doing. Then I would do the solo turn, which was kind of stupid. I didn't like it, and then I did my thing and all of that.
This is not music to Allie's ears, man.
No,
it wasn't on my list.
You might like it.
Yeah. Okay.
This is a really big game though to buy for just the solo mode. If you're big into solos, this is I mean, you don't have to get the Colossus edition. I think this one will come. Forbidden Games and Glen Drover, their games typically come to retail.
So we bought
Raccoon Forge. Sorry, I'm thinking Glen Drover in my head.
We bought Mosaic from the game store just last week, and I got it off it's the base set. It's not that super set you have, and it was on the clearance route because it had a little dent in it for $40.
Yeah. Nice.
Like that's a steal because this box is big, even for the base.
He asked if we wanted to wait. He's like, I'll have the Colossus edition in or something.
It'll be like $200. So I was just like, nope. Let me just get this one.
But do you feel like it was worth it with the extras?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I figured if we love it that much, then I'll hunt down the big one at some point.
Yeah, and that's the thing with it. The funny thing is when we were backing it the Sphinx pledge. Like no plastic minis for I would just wanted to use the tiles for the city, like for all the different things you're putting out. Because the artwork on the tiles, it's like Castles of Burgundy. You get that nice colorful art. The minis are plastic, you know, they're kind of lifeless, but they have nice shapes to them.
Until you see the new Castles of Burgundy minis.
But then as I started adding the playmat and then I added the metal coins, you start adding stuff and you're like, well, it would be less expensive for me to just get the Colossus pledge. I mean, that's really it. So that's the only reason we really upgraded to it, was just it was more economical based on what we were doing, what we wanted out of the game. You certainly don't need it. I still think now the game would be very flat without the minis, but then at the same time, if you have the minis, it can it could block your line of sight on. Now they're fairly low to the ground. They're not really like big, huge minis like all over the board. They're small and round and sort of flat like pancakes. So it's not. I didn't have any problem seeing the board. I really didn't.
Okay.
But yeah, I think at this point I need to play it with more people. I didn't get the extra large player boards. That to me was just a little overkill. I just kept the regular size player boards. They're perfectly fine, by the way. You talk about setup. This one has a weird setup. Every single hex on the board has to be covered at the beginning of the game, seeded with these trade goods tokens and the cash tokens and the fish tokens. So you have to flip them all upside down. You got to put them all over. And then you have to flip them, and then all the ones with the X on it. I love that mechanism, though. See, not to go off on a little tangent, but I have Battle Lore 2nd Edition, which is a 2-player, like, Memoir 44 Command and Colors
old school Fantasy
system.
Flight Terranos, right?
Love that game. One of the things I like about Battle Lore that Memoir 44 doesn't do is that they have this deck of cards that you shuffle each player and you seed them on the board based on your card setup of the mission. And then when you flip them all over and you get to actually don't shuffle them, you can put them out however you want.
Right.
But so each player has all their cards face down, and then when you flip them over, some of them are decoys. And so those are basically removed, but so you never know what your opponent's going to set up.
Right.
This is like that, but it's for everybody. And so a lot of the tokens have an X on them. So as you flip them over, you have to remove all the X's. So what's nice about it is you're going to get a different board every single time. Every single time. So it's a little bit lengthy as far as setup, but what I would always say is if you're playing with 4, 5, 6 people, just have one person or 2 people working on that while you're doing all the rest of the setup, because it's really not that oppressive. It's really not.
Okay.
One
I set it up all by myself playing solo, and it was fine. Yeah.
One question about the civilization. You said it's a civ builder. Is it a generational civ builder, or is it just does it go through different eras, or does it stay in one time period?
No, it stays. It's not like
it's not like Sid Meier's where you can start off in the ancients and end up launching rockets.
No,
this is more like build it.
This is more, you're basically putting out cities. You're expanding your empire. So maybe it's a civilization building game.
It just keeps it within the time frame.
One area.
But why not play Clash of Cultures? I mean, that's the right answer.
I haven't played that one.
Oh, we got to change that then.
Yeah, no, I haven't played that.
I've never played that either.
More into Civ, but it's interesting.
I'm leaving.
Just played,
it's done.
Lexi and I just played Through the Ages. Not on the app.
Okay.
Oh, that's a tough one, man. That was very take thatty.
Yeah.
I just got a copy of that.
We really liked it. I'm selling it, so if you want it, you can have it. But we played it. Now, it's not because we don't like it. We're selling it just because we have Mosaic now, because Through the Ages took a long time to play.
Mosaic
doesn't take a long time to play. It's pretty snappy. But yeah, you're staying within the same civilization era. You're just building it, and there's objectives. There's wonders. You can build wonders, and they basically do more for your influence, but they also come with some kind of point value or some kind of special little ability that you can do. You have lots of technology cards. There's like a stack of technology cards this thick, unsleeved. I mean, inches thick. So and every one of them is different. Labor. There's no duplicates. All of them are different.
Yeah, that's one. I remember that.
So tons of artwork. You're building your population, which is how you do certain multipliers for your goods. The more population you have, the more goods you get, because there's a basic math system. But you have to use population as a currency to build cities and things and port cities. So I love that dual tension. Dual use things for me are a hit. I love when I have to choose between one of two things for one single thing. And population is that for me in this game. And so managing your population as currency plus as a multiplier is a very neat thing to keep in balance. So I really enjoyed it. It's a really good game. I just didn't really prefer the solo mode. That's all. Yeah.
You've got me very excited to get our copy out.
I didn't realize
wanting to play Clash of Cultures. Like
try Mosaic. Mosaic's on topic.
Yeah.
So Glenn Drover, when you said Glenn Drover, that name stuck in my head. And I remember that he did Raccoon Tycoon.
Oh,
yeah. And Civilization. He did Sid Meier's Civilization.
Oh, he did?
And he did Railways of Nippon.
And he did,
I believe,
Extraordinary Adventures Pirates.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
So I was, so I don't know why, of all those games, I don't know why Raccoon Tycoon stuck in my head. I think because we did the Kickstarter for it like 1,000 years ago. But in any case, that's pretty cool.
Awesome. That one's awesome.
Yeah,
I can't wait to get to that.
Too.
Yeah.
Excellent. Moving to so Allie, you're going to talk about Titanic, right?
I can. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So the other game I had listed was SOS Titanic, which is the second edition, has recently come to retail. I pre-ordered it, oh my goodness, a long time ago. The pre-order got delayed on that one, so it came out quite a bit later than they were expecting it to, but it is out in retail now. And I got my pre-order maybe a month or two ago, I think. And I added that one to my solo 10 by 5 challenge for the last part of this year. And it's the first one that I started with, and I'm already done with my 5 plays. It is based on like Klondike Solitaire. So if you ever sat and just played Klondike Solitaire for, probably an hour or two when you're a kid, or played it on the computer and like that sort of you are going to lose style of solo game, that's what SOS Titanic is. So you have this book of the Titanic, and as you flip pages, the Titanic is sinking into the ocean, and the holes or the ports are filling with water. And so you have all of these passengers that are lined up in rows where you can only see the top card, unless you've been able to turn over, kind of like in Solitaire where you see the first card and then you have to move things and manipulate them around. And so as your decks sink, you have to then take all the passengers that were there and shuffle them in with the next deck over and turn over the top card. So the cards you had previously exposed are now hidden again. And you're drawing passengers from the top of the deck. And if you can't play any of them, that's what's causing the ship to sink faster. And they have a lot of different like crew members that you can play with. Some of them work well for solo. Some of them don't work as well for solo. It actually can be played multiplayer as well. But they'll let you do different things and kind of break the rules in different ways. But your goal is to manage to get all of the passengers off of the Titanic in order. And I think in the rule book it tells you that if you successfully rescue like 16 out of, I think, the 70 passengers that are in there, you've actually been more successful than the real sinking of the Titanic in saving passengers.
It's like abysmal.
It's pretty sad when you do that.
It's really bad, but you have to find the lifeboats somewhere in the deck, and then you have to get passengers off. You can't mix first class and second class passengers, and then you have to get them off in order. So it'll go 2 through 17 or 2 through 13. And the kids are in those 2s and 3s. So you're getting the kids off first, and then the women, and then the men come last, and like the officers, the safety officers come at the very end. But it's a lot of fun. It plays really quickly, and you will lose a lot, like you do in solitaire. Like I've never won it. But
you haven't won it yet?
Kind of that. Oh, no.
I think we only won maybe one.
I think we won it one time. Yeah, we got lucky.
And we got lucky.
It might be easier with 2 people because you have more crew abilities that are more beneficial.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the crew members are better, I think, for solo than other ones. Like some of them start with none of those ability cards, like what are they? I don't know, the little like life
cards or something. Yeah.
Yeah, the little ones with the life preservers on them.
They basically let you cheat.
Yeah, they do. And some of the crew members, you don't get any of those throughout the whole game. So I've played games where I've had none the entire game, and I think that's basically impossible. Yeah, that crew's like sleeping that day.
Yeah, they're not doing anything. They have no abilities. They're just not very good crew.
So which phase of the game does Branden draw me like he does his French girls?
I don't
know. What?
Where did that come from?
Have you ever seen Titanic?
Yeah, Branden, he's Jack.
I know what he's talking about.
To Carlos's Rose.
Lexi, it's okay. It's not true. It's all lies from Carlos. It's okay.
But yeah, it is a fun game. I think the production quality on it is really nice. That book is really it's made of like a really high quality plastic, so it's cool. And they made it really dark, so it's kind of like it looks like the Titanic.
Well, and like the pages as you flip them, like the lights go out on the boat, obviously, and it sinks more. But the moon also becomes darker and darker sets or whatever, so the night becomes darker. It becomes
more abysmal as you get towards that last page. It starts
that book is really interesting because you're talking about a game from 2013, and the book just makes me feel like My Father's Work, right? So like you're flipping this book, and it's changing the worker placement system and like what's available. You know, they were doing that back in 2013. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that seems like a really common theme in board games now, right? I mean, like even solo board games or solitaire games, it seems like losing is what you do. It's like in solo solitaire games typically.
That's
like example, I guess, recent example, Final Girl, right? Like I feel like that game is and it seems like I just lose every time, but it's also luck of the dice every time.
You're not kidding, man.
So I feel like that's such a common thing with solo games now. It's just you are meant to lose and try again and again and again.
I think Final Girl is a little more punishing though than a lot of other solo games. I'll be honest, because it's built on the hostage negotiation. You ever played that one, right? And that one was equally as punishing. But I think Final Girl is even worse because I was like, it could be 2 or 3 moves into that game and I've already lost. Like because it's just you're rolling dice and you're not hitting anything. Yeah, it's that brutal. Like you could literally.
I think that it makes you want to play it more though, and I think that's probably why, especially as a solo experience, because you're like, okay, I failed, but I was so close. Like, let me just set it up again. And especially if it's quick to play, like Titanic is, you can whip out a couple of games really quickly. And I know even though we were playing it cooperatively, it's kind of similar experience where we would like fail, and I'm like, we're so close. Let's just set it up again.
Set it up again and redo it. Yeah, and I think that to Juan's point, he's right in that it's like they're building them to punish you so that you keep trying, right?
But it's got to be in that 30-minute time frame of SOS Titanic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because anything more, if I put it in an hour and I lose,
then you're
that's a lot of my experience with. Funny enough, with Too Many Bones, I'll get that on the table. It takes me like time to set it all up and like half an hour to like get all the card decks seeded and all that stuff, and I'll play the game for 5 minutes and lose. In the first battle because you have a really bad run of dice and all of a sudden you're out and I'm like, man, what is this? Do I even want to finish it? Like, do I want to reset it and start over? And I'm like,
let me teach you how to do it, Anthony. I've never lost Too Many Bones in 5 minutes.
No. Yeah, I'd have to sit with you because honestly, it's that game for me
is punishing.
Really punishing.
It's the most punishing game that I've played yet, and I have it in my collection. Got almost everything for it. Didn't back the most recent Kickstarter with that big edition they put on it because it's hard to get this thing to the table as it is. We have the trope chest, like we have all of this stuff, we have all the characters, and we've demoed this for Chip Theory games at conventions, and it fried our brains even demoing it for because it was 2-hour demos just to get the thing to the table. To demo it for people, you needed 2 hours. It was incredible.
That's not the definition of demo.
Well,
that is like wow.
Not typically, but for Chip Theory it is. But you're right though, but I've played Too Many Bones solo. It is punishing. I have lost, but I've also won, and it's just it's such a great feeling when you do win that. because it is very punishing. That one is, whew.
Yeah,
it can be. Like I said, I haven't played. I never even heard of SOS Titanic. It's pretty neat. It's 2013. It looks like the first edition came out, so that goes.
Yeah, they just did a reprint.
Yeah, it looks like a second edition. I like Bruno Catala. I love Abyss. That's my favorite game of his is Abyss. I would like to try it. But yeah, if it's overly punishing, sometimes I'm like, okay.
And Ludwig Mont Blanc as well.
Not in a frustrating way. Yeah.
It's no worse than regular.
I like how Allie talked about it though, when she talked about looking at success defined in the game. And as a historical gamer, there's so many games that are like that. Like, listen, the Americans lost this battle terribly. So if you lose okay, you won. Like you did better,
in history.
And you didn't get massacred, you won. And Allie's like, if we save this many, we kind of won. Like,
yeah. I don't mark it as a win, but I feel pretty good about myself.
Right?
If I at least save those 16. I have had games where I didn't even get to that point. I actually saved less than the real Titanic. But I think that's one of the crew members where I just didn't have any of the special bonus cards, and I was like, this is not going well.
Yeah. And if the lifeboats are buried in those decks,
it's like nearly impossible.
Because those are the aces, right? And if you don't get those aces out, you're not. It's just like solitaire. If you don't get the aces up, you're stuck.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing you can do. So, all right, cool. That was SOS Titanic. Nice. I like that one. All right, we have a handful more.
Do you want me to talk about mine?
If you want to.
Okay. I don't know if you have it pulled up. I see that you don't have my tab up.
It's like, if you have to.
No.
You have to go there. What is your game?
I want to talk about duos.
Oh, duos.
We've been talking about this all
you know what?
long.
I couldn't find duos.
You have. That's because it just was released at Essen. I think you have to pull it up on Grana's website.
So all right, I'll try. Why don't you talk about it while I look for this?
So this was a game that we were asked to review by Grana, and we did a couple of weeks ago. It did come out at Essen. And it's called Duos, and it's not our normal fare, at least not for our channel, and it's not actually our normal fare for us to play casually either, sadly for me, because I love this kind of game. This is one of those mind meld, sort of get on the same page as your not necessarily opponent, but sometimes opponent if you're playing competitively, but also like partner. A la like sort of like a code names or something like that. So in this game, you can, the way it's played 2-player is cooperative, and the way that it's played with more than 2 is competitive. And basically what you're doing is trying to make pairs of these different graphic not graphic tiles, but like they're illustrated, like line art illustrated cards in sort of not an offer, but like a grid. And you might have like a bicycle and like a baseball bat and like I don't know.
That's what it looks
Do you have like a picture of it? Okay. So you've got all these things, and they come in different flavors. So like one of the sets is I think like sports and animals or something, and the other one is like fantasy and something and things or something like that. So it's they're all kind of related. They're like related enough that you can make associations, but the more you think about it, the more associations you're making, and the further you're straying from like probably the Family Feud #1 answer, if that makes sense. And that's kind of the feel that you get. So you're trying to make pairs that other people will also guess. Did you just turn these off?
No.
Everybody,
yours is still on.
Okay, it turned off my. Weird thing. Sorry, we're sharing headphones so that you don't hear an echo. But in any case, you're trying to make pairs. So everybody makes pairs behind like a screen, and then you reveal the screens, and you kind of compare who else had the same pairs as you. But before you do that, you can give clues. So at least in the 2-player game, you're able to give clues to your partner about what you may have picked and what you didn't pick. So you could say like, tell me a card that you did pick, and they can say, okay, I picked this card. And then you're thinking like, well, wait, how did you pick that card? That's not one of the cards that I picked, which means that we've made different associations, and you're just trying to get as many pairs the same as you can. In the competitive game, you're not giving those kind of clues. You're just straight up making pairs, revealing at the end of when everybody's had a chance to do that. And then one person plays as the narrator, who's everybody else is trying to match. And then you get points based on who else like matched with you and whatever. So it's very simple to set up. It's very simple to understand the rules once you've kind of read them and you play it. But again, if you're into those like mind meld kind of games like me, first of all, if we're ever in the same room, please play them with me. Nobody ever wants to play these games with me.
I'll play this one with you, Francis.
Will you? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Anthony was a little apprehensive about it because, again, he doesn't like love these kinds of games. But it is so much fun, especially if you know the other person and you kind of know how they think, or you think you know how they think. And we did a playthrough of this a couple weeks ago, and it was like the first playthrough we've done in a really long time that we were literally laughing out loud. Like I nearly like peed myself. It was so funny just because you're like, why would you think that?
I'm trying to remember the object.
And the thing,
it was a tower shield, right? It was a tower shield with like a nice cross on it.
Oh yeah, the coffin.
And she thought it was a coffin, and I was just like, "That's not a coffin." I'm like, what are you talking? So she matched these two things together.
The vampire.
Totally didn't. The vampire with the tower shield, and I'm like, that makes no sense.
And he's like, like you didn't think that was a coffin, did you? And he's like, oh my god.
Yeah, you did.
But the funny thing is that the art is so basic that I think that it's like you could kind of interpret it a couple different ways. It also kind of reminded me a little bit of like Mysterium. A little bit, if you've played that, where you're trying to give clues and you have to kind of be on the same page as the people who are playing the game too. So if I know Anthony picks up on colors, maybe that's the route that I go with that game. So you're trying to just be on the same page, but you're just never on the same page. So I don't know. It was fun. And for us, I think like the last couple, like we've been 4 or 5 months in with the new baby and we've been really busy and kind of all over the place. So it was a nice like sort of date night come back to like having fun and sort of getting our brains like resynced up again kind of experience.
It's a good time.
So that's my game of the week.
Would you consider it like a party game by chance?
Yes. Yeah. I would say party game. But what I liked about it was that we don't usually keep a lot of party games around because we don't have a ton of people all the time. But this one you can play 2 players as well. So
kind of like a duo.
Hence duos.
Yeah,
exactly.
like it's like a Codenames duet. Like if you were going to play that, this would fit the same situation.
Same kind of thing, which I also love.
What she loves.
Francis, have you played Similo?
What's that?
Have you played Similo?
Similo?
Mm-hmm.
No.
What is Similo?
Is that
Similo
what like?
I think you'd like Similo. They have a whole bunch of different decks which you can mix and match, but basically you're trying to play a card. It's a cooperative. It's kind of party game too, but you have you have this set of 12 cards in front of you, and one of them is a secret card that the clue giver knows, and they're trying to get you to get rid of everything except for that card, and they have to just play a card in front from the deck, and if they play it right side up, it says that it is similar in some way to the secret card that you're trying to keep in, and if they play it turned, then it's not similar. And so on the first round, you get rid of 1, and then you get rid of 2, and then 3, and then you have to get rid of 4, which leaves you with 2, and then you have to pick between those last 2, assuming you haven't gotten rid of it yet. We play it all the time. It's probably like our second most played game ever.
That
I have the
like
app,
a game I would play.
And my youngest loves it. She doesn't understand it at all. She gives the opposite clue of what she's supposed to, because it's like it's negative logic, so it like trips people up on the first game, and it also trips up 7-year-olds. But she loves that game.
That's cool. Yeah, that would definitely be one I like.
We'll look into that for sure.
What's the other one that I always ask to play, and I can never remember the name of it? I brought it up last time. Medium is the other one that I really enjoy. That's in that same vein, but never play it. Yeah.
So how I'm curious, how related would it be to like the Mind? Have you played the Mind before?
And the Mind, we haven't played the Mind.
We played the Mind.
Did we?
Yeah, with your mom.
I thought that was Medium.
No, we played the Mind.
Okay, I guess we've played it. I don't remember.
So
I know the game, but yeah. It's. I wouldn't say.
I didn't think
it
was
exactly.
very similar.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't very similar to that. I would say it's closer to like a Codenames. or maybe it actually sounds kind of similar to like Similo, like Allie was saying.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, the mind is it's all a mind game, right? Like hoping someone puts the correct number in order.
Yeah, because that's just everybody's trying to put the numbers down, and they have to go in a certain sequence, right?
Oh no, are you thinking of the crew?
No, that's the mind.
We played the mind with them as well.
We also played the crew.
Yeah, and the crew. But the crew was way different. That was more like every mission was different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it uses a great mechanism called trick taking, Juan.
Yeah. We're into the trick taking these days.
It is. You're right. There has been like a ton of those lately.
Not Juan.
It has to be done right. It has to be done right. Is the thing, right? There's so many trick taking games now that it just has to be done correctly now, or
letting that go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. All right, cool.
Very
so
cool.
we have just a few more. So Juan, we said you'd want to talk about Evergreen, so we'll jump into that one.
Perfect. Yeah. So, this game really struck me out. It's coming out this week, October 28th, as well. Evergreen, I just can't like even put into words because I love it when board games have a bigger cause to them, right? It's not just like a board game, but they're going over stuff around like the forest and nature and talking about putting. Yeah, there you go, by Horrible Guild. So the art looks nice. I really enjoy it. Your whole goal essentially is to be building an ecosystem with your cards. So you're going to have a section of like some cards with biomes, not biomes. They're going to have sections of the board, and you're building out your trees and your plants. And you get combos when you put them together. And also keeping in mind a really interesting mechanism here that's not just about putting things down, right? I guess Foundations of Rome plays similarly, where you get a card, you can put in these areas, but there's actually a sun that goes around. And the sun actually grants you bonuses to your trees growing because they need sun to live. And trees for the future, I like it when they include that stuff. Like some kind of...
Sounds very photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis, yeah.
Yep. It's the same designer.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, so I appreciate that when they try to do a little bit something more than it's just a board game. Like there's a bigger cause to this board game. It's not just a game you put on a table and play for fun, but also keep in mind of the ecosystem or like our trees in the world, the nature.
Learn something. I love that.
Yeah, so it's basically, like I said, you put trees around a section after you pick a certain card that has that section, you collect them, and then the sun going around grants you bonuses to your trees growing. The more trees you have together, you get bigger scores. Keep it in mind, though, that when the sun's going around and you have a cluster of trees, some trees aren't getting the sun because they're being blocked by another tree. The shade is there, basically.
This sounds a lot like photosynthesis.
Have you played this one?
No, I regularly have not. It comes out on 28th, so
I'm curious if I'm not going to say suffers because that's subjective, but I know like with photosynthesis, I was really excited to play it, and then once we did, I was like, "Whoa,
hated it!
This is a lot of take that for a
I dropped some big trees in front of her trees,
I was
and the sun just drowned out her trees, man, and she was like,
and I'm curious.
So mad.
It's a cool mechanic.
Anthony feels so good though. I can tell he
doesn't get the chance to win that much. So
Evergreen, you all have your own board, so there isn't that of you're blocking someone else's trees. You're blocking your own trees.
Okay. I like that. So this might be the redeemer for me.
Okay.
Like it might be
that sun system from photosynthesis, which Rob taught me, was awesome. I loved it.
It is so cool.
I love it.
Cool.
But it's brutal when you play it.
It's mean.
It was not what I was expecting. And at the time that it came out, I think that I was not as a mature gamer in the sense of like I was still getting my, I don't know. I'm bad at idioms, but I was. What's that thing where
you didn't have your chops.
Still getting your feet wet or whatever?
I didn't have
my
chops yet. So
I was really like I got it. I was smart, but I was still like a very.
She wasn't like looking for opportunities to get me.
Yeah, like and now I can do that where I can like do my thing and also stave off his.
I was looking ahead to see where the sun would be and planting trees in all those spots.
Yeah, right.
So when every round,
which is what you
she's gonna hate that. She's gonna hate that.
She hated every tree I planted was just anger.
So
it was growing anger.
Yeah, I like to sleep with both eyes closed, Anthony. I try to stay away from those maneuvers on my wife.
Yeah, I try to. So it might photosynthesis is probably not one that we'll revisit, but
Evergreen sounds cool.
Really cool.
I like the look of it too.
A big plus, I guess, is what I'm not too sure if they're going to include this, but I think what's really interesting is when you all take your action at the same time, and I appreciate that in games because you can play, for example, Planet Unknown, right? Everyone takes their turn at the same time, so you grab your piece, you put it on. So I'm hoping they go that direction where like you can grab your pieces and all play at the same time, because games like that you can play at like 6, 7, 8 players. I mean, it's all fair because it takes maybe 30 minutes to play, and everyone's doing their turn equally at the same time. So I hope that's the direction they're going. The rulebook didn't really explain that part, and I didn't go that deep into it to really understand that part. But I really hope that's what it is. Like, you all build your ecosystem at the same time, and then you play it out. So hoping for it.
Interesting. Okay.
Awesome.
Cool.
Sounds good. Is there any other games anybody else wants to cover that I may have missed?
Well, the last
Somebody
one
brought up Wingspan.
Yeah,
What's that?
we were talking about games that we were getting soon, so I wanted to bring up Wingspan. Just to shout out the Beans and Dice podcast. The Stonemaier Design Day Stonemaier had their charity auction on BGG, and Beans and Dice was gladly, we were highlighted as one of the 10 content creators.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So they had an auction for a charity of my choosing that they auctioned away a bunch of stuff for. And what really blew my mind is the content creator who got the most likes was going to win an advanced copy of Wingspan Asia. And blowing my mind, my small community, my 500 subscribers that I have came through like champs. And we ended up winning the most likes. We had content creators on there with 9,000 subs, 6,000 subs. We were second from the bottom on that list. So I had no hope of winning that Wingspan Asia game. But I tell you what, my peeps came through like champs. We got the most likes.
That's awesome.
Rob got to visit with Jamie
Stegmaier,
last week because we've gone 2 years in a row now to the design day. And he says that our copy is on the boat, should be arriving shortly, and they'll be shipping it to our house.
Yeah.
So we'll get a quick first look at one of the first looks at Wingspan Asia. So we've been playing a lot of that lately.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
There you go. It's that goes to show that subscriber count doesn't mean everything, right? It's how dedicated, how dedicated is your community, and how much do they really support you? And I think that's huge. That's a great message.
So it was a great shout out to my peoples.
Yep.
You know, my beans came through and put it out there, and they got me the likes we needed.
Well, you got to tell us in a few weeks how that is when you get it.
Yeah.
I'm actually I didn't look into it at all before that. Like before they told me I want it, I wasn't even looking at it. And then when I started, Wingspan Asia, okay, another Wingspan expansion. I have them all, and they're pretty much in shrink right here on the wall.
Yeah.
Oh no.
It's all in shrink up here on the wall, because it's just more Wingspan. I'm like, I'm happy with the box, but this new version has a mode. It is an expansion, but it is also standalone. It is a standalone Wingspan game for 2 players. Right out of the box. You can this expansion box, you can buy it and play it with 2 players right off the bat. But it's got, instead of the goal board that you're normally used to with the tiles you're going to place in there to give you the different goals for each round, it's going to have a, how do I describe it? Like a tapestry city-esque sideboard, like a city board, or like a viticulture Tuscany sideboard with like a map. You know what I'm talking about, with like this little city map?
Yep.
And then as 2 players, as you're playing birds into your different habitats, every time you play a bird, you get to play a token onto this sideboard, granting you bonuses. So it almost now becomes a race to play birds onto your habitats so that you can place these duet tokens onto this sideboard, gaining additional bonuses, which is going to be changing the game in my feelings, because I feel like Wingspan is a slow game. It isn't until the end that I have my habitats full. But if I get bonuses for going to different places, I'm going to be trying to play even the small birds just to be able to grab these bonuses up. So
that sounds pretty cool. Yeah, no, I agree. We haven't played Wingspan in years. I mean,
this might refresh it for you too, especially when you play a lot of 2-player games. This might give you that opportunity to be more competitive and less friendly.
Yeah,
just the way Anthony likes it.
Just the way I like it. Not anymore, man. I've cooled. I've cooled over the years.
Yeah, some lonely nights on the couch after school.
That'll do that.
He learns.
That'll do it, man. All right, so if that ties us up for the evening, I think we went a pretty good amount of time. But I think this was a really good conversation tonight. I think as we kind of
always are.
Yeah, I think as we kind of go on, we're getting more and more comfortable with each other. Yeah, and it's really showing through. It's making some really good discussion.
And great comments and discussions in both the YouTube comments. So I've been following those after our shows, and then also in the Discord. So throw to the Board Game Nexus Discord. There's a lot of conversation after these shows that we get to enjoy.
Yeah, it's great. So we have our own nice little community kind of forming around us, watching our stuff. And I think it's really good. And Juan, like a great first episode to join us on. We're definitely bringing you back for sure, because I think you had a really nice list. I mean, that's huge to come out with that, because I know I'm way too lazy to go out and hunt that stuff down. So, and you do such a great job with it, man.
Thank you for having me. I mean, it was a lot of fun. I love conversations like this, of course, board games and all, just talking about board games in general. It's always a lot of fun. And there's so much to talk about too. So I hope we can even just kind of dive into different topics throughout the time. So and thank you for having me.
Really absolutely. Yeah, our pleasure. I think at some point we'll start to talk about, we'll bring up some topics. I think that's always a good discussion too, because we definitely like to talk about, things that are going on in not just the games we're playing, but also just things in the community and stuff like that, that we're all part of, right?
Yeah.
So great stuff. As usual, we'll put all of everybody's channel links down in the show comments, so you can go find each of these wonderful content creators as part of our panel every week. We'll continue to bring more content to you every couple of weeks. And thank you all again for joining us. It was a great time.
All right.
Thanks.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.